The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. This week on the show, we're dancing on freeways, playing music J.K. Simmons doesn't like, singing with Gwen Stacy, and announcing the wrong Oscar winner as our podcast theme redirects to stuff without capes and shit. It's Damien Chazelle's La La Land. I'm Reegs.
And I'm Bloodaxe.
And I'm Baby Bloodaxe.
My three bundles has to do the intro. Matilda, what are you doing here? What you mean I'm doing here? What's ye doing with my son?
Yeah, Mommy's here too.
What the fuck was that?
I'm sorry.
Oh my god, we're not even in the show yet. You've already done 3 characters and a whole scene and some divorce drama. It's just everybody. This is the Film Addicts podcast. Hey friends, and welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. I hope you enjoyed that little skit that Addy did not tell me he had planned. Here we are. We're back. It's fantastic. Bloodaxe is here, baby Bloodaxe, and fucking Matilda apparently. Who is Bloodaxe's? If we watch Zach's new picture, Rebel Moon, and there is legitimately a character named Matilda in it, I'm going to fucking eat my own hat. I swear to God, because that would be amazing. But yes, we're back, folks. Hello. We're doing La La Land because I watched it for the first time a couple of weeks ago and told Addy, and you know, you lost your mind over it.
I did, because I've been telling you to watch it ever since you watched Babylon.
That's true. I mean, to be fair, that wasn't that long ago. Actually, yes, it was, Regan. It was 7 months ago, 8 months ago. Yeah, and it's funny because when I watched Babylon, I rewatched Whiplash, and I was like, this guy's got some juice, you know. And then I can't remember what I was doing that night. I know I was having kind of like a movie day to myself, and for some reason that came into my sphere, and I can probably tell you why. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, so I was just doing this run of like real like sort of dramas. So I watched How I Live Now, Lady Bird, Ammonite, and Brooklyn, all of which star Saoirse Ronan. Because I was having a Saoirse Renaissance at home. She's a wonderful actress, and I was in the mood for some real, you know, some drama, some real powerful acting. And then for some reason, La La Land came up. And I was like, you know what? I never saw that because at the time, everybody said to me, well, not everybody, but an awful lot of people said that they didn't like it, that the performances weren't good, that the singing was shit, that the blah, 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 blah. And I ignored it. What a silly thing to let other people's opinions decide what I do or what I choose to consume. Because it's, you know, I waited all this time and I could have watched this wonderful, wonderful movie that made me feel great and made me feel really positive about my craft. And Damien Chazelle's a master at what he does. I watched First Man again as well, and really love that. Very different picture, but it's, you know, really beautiful. And I'm excited we get to talk about it. But before we do that, how are you, my friend?
I'm okay.
Yeah. Reeling from your skit.
I am. So if that's not a giveaway, I'm deep into D&D shit and with no plans of coming out of it ever.
Good. Is there something in particular that's happening at the moment with that, or?
There's a campaign going on with a couple of my friends, and we end it tomorrow night.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And how long does that last for?
This was supposed to be a short one, so it was like, it's 6 sessions, but each session's like 3.5 hours.
Wow, that's more than all the Lord of the Rings movies.
It is, and I have 2 simultaneous campaigns going on. It's the best thing.
Awesome. I don't know how you keep all that information in your head all at once, but if anybody wants some D&D advice or digs on that shit, message Addy straight away. You seem to know what you're talking about.
Thank you.
I love the confidence.
Thank you.
But to get into the normalness of the program, which you all love, do you want to talk about what we watched?
Let's do what we're watching.
Let's do that. All right. 1, 2, 3. What are we
watching?
What are we watching? I've watched heaps of stuff because it's been a little while between records again because we're both busy people. We're running campaigns. I'm doing actual fighting of monsters and things because I don't know if you know this, everybody. Australia's rife with them. We've got all sorts of centaurs and fishmen and pig people and half horse, half human. It is a wasteland out here, and you've got to go to work every day with a mace. I've detracted from the point. What are we doing again? That's right. We're talking about what are we watching. What have you been watching?
Oh,
You've been watching some cool shit?
I have.
Or just doing your campaign?
No, that's like therapy. So yeah, but yeah.
Perfect.
I've watched a lot of shit, but I want you to go first because I have a rant, and I have a positive rant.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I watched these in quick succession of each other within the last sort of week. I revisited Ang Lee's Hulk from 2003.
Saw that too.
Yeah, which because it's someone mentioned it on a podcast, and I was like, I haven't seen that in a long time. I was at JB Hi-Fi. JB Hi-Fi is an Australian electronics store, and they sell 4K discs. And I'm a big fan of physical media. Because that tends to be the way that the creators want you to see their work in the highest possible resolution, and streaming doesn't do that. Even places like Disney Plus and Amazon Prime that do stream in HDR, it's not as high quality as those discs. So I bought that, and fuck, did it look good on 4K. I'm gonna tell you that much. Pretty fantastic, just beautiful colors. Ang Lee's such an amazing director. He really understands the themes of Hulk as well. Some of the performances are a bit weird, but I don't think the comic book movie had really kind of found its groove. We'd had Blade and which I watched again recently as well, which rules. And X-Men, his first Spider-Man to come out. Hulk was an interesting pick for Ang Lee, and like it was pretty like unusual choice of topic for him, but yeah, he nailed it, and I really like that movie a lot. It's it holds up against anything that's currently being done, especially the CG. It's like kind of everyone's always like, oh, it looks like Shrek, and that's only because that's recency biased. You'd just seen Shrek. The Hulk came first, baby, and I kind of like that even more than the kind of muted green. But that was really good. I went to the cinema with my fiance. She's a huge Australian music fan, and she's also worked in the industry quite a lot. She has a lot of friends within the Melbourne scene in particular. And there's a producer and who's also the head of Mushroom Records, a man named Michael Kadinsky, who was basically the godfather of Australian music, or Australian rock music, as a producer and as a head of a label. And there's a documentary about him out at the moment called Ego, which is an amazing documentary. It's so well made. It's got everybody in it you could want to sting. Kylie Minogue and Jimmy Barnes and all these people talking about this amazing person who came into their life and helped them. Like without him, the landscape of Australian music is very, very different, and we're such a music heavy culture here, especially in Melbourne. Was really powerful. Unfortunately, Michael Gudinski died a couple of years ago, just after COVID. They plastered the city with all the posters of all the different, concerts that he'd put on. And he really was a magnanimous, beautiful human being. And it's a really good doco. It starts really kinetic and energetic, and it's got some DNA from like Spider-Verse going on with this cool animation and shit. And then as he ages and as his story slows down, so does the doco. Really expertly put together. On I think it was Sunday night, me and my future sister-in-law and my fiance were trying to find something to watch, and for some reason my fiance asked how to spell the word plethora, and I immediately went into, would you say I have a plethora of piñatas? Oh yes, Effie, you'll definitely have a plethora, which is a quote from Three Amigos, and they were like, Alex, my future sister-in-law, was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I'm like, "Haven't you seen Three Amigos? It's like one of my top 10 favorite movies." And she's like, "No," and I was like, "That's it, we're watching it, fuck it." And goddamn, that movie is amazing. Any of you out there who are big fans of Only Murders in the Building, which I am, such a great show. This is Martin Short and Steve Martin and Martin Short. When they were still like coming off the back of their popularity from Saturday Night Live in the early 80s. It was produced and written in part written by Lorne Michaels, this film. Also Randy Newman, who wrote that You Got a Friend in Me from Toy Story. It's just such a big, silly, heartfelt film. I couldn't recommend more going back to something. And also there's this weird thing where you think, a movie like that's kind of set where it's set and it has the cast that it has, and they're supposed to, like, they're in the movies, because it's set in the early 1900s, they're supposed to be these wealthy Spanish landlords, and they're all white dudes, and they're kind of misappropriating the costume and all that stuff. But when they go to Mexico to under this pretense of being performers, but they're really going to be kind of like seven samurai saviors of this town. All the cast are played by people who are Spanish or Mexican, and it doesn't it never makes fun of them. It makes fun of these guys not understanding stuff. It holds up really well in terms of the awareness and anti-cancel culture kind of thing. So I'd highly recommend that. And one more thing, just as a lead into what will be our big October month, our big Halloween month. Addie was like, I want to do a bunch of episodes around the work of Mike
Flanagan.
Mike Flanagan. Addie said he wanted to do a sort of longer series about Mike Flanagan's work, Dr. Sleep, Haunting a Hill House, Blythe Manor. He just had a trailer drop for The Fall of the House of Usher yesterday. Amazing creator, really understands horror and character and how those two blend. And so I started watching Hill House as research, and fuck me, that's some of the best TV you'll ever see, friends. That is just, get into it. It's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, I know it was huge when it came out. Everybody was talking about it at the time. I don't know why I let it pass me by. Maybe because I don't like ghosts and being scared. But that's not even half of it, really. Like, most of it's this family drama, and it's beautiful. And Dr. Sleep's fucking fantastic.
Oh yeah, I heard that episode of Script Apart, and I went and I watched The Shining and Dr. Sleep, and then I watched the Dr. Sleep director's cut.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen the director's cut. It's not readily available here, but I did order it online, hoping. I asked if it was the right region, and I'm hoping that it is. But yeah, Dr. Sleep's a really good film, and it does. The DNA that it shares with the Shining film and book is really interesting. And yeah, shout out to the Script Apart podcast with Al Horner, which really, really insightful. If you're into writing at all, or if you're into storytelling, I would highly recommend that. It's got a great episode that I listened to recently with David Hayter of Watchmen fame as well. Sort of see the progression of that project.
I heard that last night.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? He's so sort of like insightful, both Alan and David Hayter. So, but yeah, that was me blasting through all my stuff. What have you been watching, my friend?
I want to say, picking back off of your Hill House thing. Hill House is the reason why I love horror. Like, I love horror as much as I don't talk about it, because there's a certain type of horror that I really love, and that's all Mike Flanagan's work. And there's not a lot of people, like Mike Flanagan said that, and we get into it when we do the Dr. Sleep episode, that like the Dr. Sleep film is a journey of recovery and all that. And I felt that while watching Dr. Sleep, because I watched it in theater, but I had nobody to talk about it because nobody fucking watched it.
Yeah, it did pretty poorly at the cinema, unfortunately. It was very misunderstood.
Hill House is fucking great. I watch it twice every year. I made my mom watch it last year, and she cried at the end of it. And I know it was a win.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I'm only up to episode 6 though, so shush.
I mean, yeah, you've already got the Nelly thing, so you can.
Yeah. If you've seen it, when you know what we're talking about, but we'll probably dedicate an episode to like different chunks of his career. Like, obviously, Dr. Sleep's a big one. Midnight Mass, Blythe Manor, Haunting of Hill House. But yeah, that's going to be our Spooktober.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck. Or maybe it'll just be Addie replaying that little fucking scene of like Kramer versus Kramer, but Blood Axe versus Blood Axe.
Oh God, that's too much.
Any Kramer versus Kramer fans out there? I don't know. It's an old movie.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
I saw that. What prompted that? And the
That's
half a star review you gave it on Letterboxd. How you have not had your house burned down by a rabid Avatar fan? I'll never understand.
I love fantasy and I love sci-fi. This was just bad.
But you said when we talked about it, you know, obviously brought it up, you were just talking about it on a script level. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
As a script.
And look, man, visually it's amazing. You understand why it took 13 years for that film to come out. But you also have to after that, you also have to look at the fact that it took them 13 years to make this film and they couldn't rewrite some of the things. I don't hate a lot of things, and I rewatched The Flash and I started hating it. And then I rewatched Avatar: The Way of Water. I was like, I don't hate it, but it shouldn't be like this. People misunderstand it a lot. It's the same story with a different cast, but it doesn't have the depth or the feel of the story that there was in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work. Like the first time you watch it, it works because it's just so much that you're absorbing, and it's for 3 hours. And you watch it again, and you watch it again, and you watch it again, and then you start to see the seams, and you start to see the cracks and everything.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one. It doesn't. And this is not a slight on anybody or anything or whatever. Like I have no interest. I didn't like the first one, and yeah, it's just a story thing. And that it was a huge and also as We Hate Movies podcast, Eric Siska says, it's okay to like a movie if you like Avatar and you think it's the best movie that's ever made and it speaks to you, and maybe you really enjoy the ecological message that it has, or whatever. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. Enjoy it. And the Flash too. I'm grateful to the Flash. And I was talking about it with Alex the other night, and she was like, it broke me. I don't want to watch any more of this stuff anymore. And it means reinvestigating things. It means going back and going, hey, I want to buy the Maltese Falcon in 4K because that's something I want to go. It's forced me to look, because everything moves at such a pace. Social media is the bane for this. Like we were talking about it. That's how we communicate now. Well, I don't want to communicate like that. If someone told me I should be on TikTok, and I'm like, why? I think in 16:9, or I think in 235 or 185 or 177. I don't think in 916. Which is the sort of your phone size, which is stories and things. It's just not. I don't think that space is for me, and that's totally cool. In the same way that the Flash isn't for me. While everything's racing forward, I'm finding myself looking back more and more, and I think it's making me better at what I do and what I can offer, my industry and my people, the people I work with. So I'm grateful for the Flash for that. But yeah, if you love it, if you think the Flash is the best, did you hit your head? What happened? No, I'm joking. No, if you like it, that's fantastic. That's not a problem at all. Maybe it's for kids, cartoon stuff. The trailer for, this will lead us into nerd news. The Aquaman trailer dropped.
Oh yeah.
The Aquaman 2. It's just a cartoon. It's 100% a cartoon. It's more cartoony than the fucking Fifth Element, man. And it is whatever, it'll be what it'll be. Yeah, so you watch The Flash again, Way of Water.
Right, so those were the rewatches. I watched Dead Reckoning for the first time because it came out of the horrible theater format that's called X Screen, which if you watch in that theater format, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What's X Screen?
It's where you sit in a theater and the film plays 360. That.
Ah, right. Yeah, okay, sure. Here we have that. Oh, do we have that here? No, I don't think we do. In the US it's 4DX or something.
4DX is when your seats move
with it fucking comes on your face or whatever the hell it is. That's what happens. They've got like it's there's smells and touches.
but
Like if I mean, no one's coming on anyone's face, I don't think. But there's been some movies where you could have done that. Babylon's a perfect example. Or getting shit on. Imagine Babylon in 4DX.
Oh my god.
You'd be like, ugh, everyone would be leaving. No wonder it didn't do well. Everyone was leaving because they got shat on in the first 5 minutes. Sorry. So don't go and see it in the wraparound version. Why not? Is it just hard to watch?
It takes away from like what the film is, and like I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan. I didn't really like Top Gun for reasons that I don't want to put out in the world.
The first one or the most recent one?
No, Top Gun Maverick. First one's good. Sure. It's like it's a time capsule. Like it's a product of its time.
Sure is.
Right. But yeah, I love the Mission Impossible films because of Simon Pegg, and like I love Rogue Nation is my favorite action movie of all time. That's how much I love this franchise. And I watched Dead Reckoning, and it was like I was 2 minutes in, like after the intro, I was fucking crying because I love this fucking franchise, and I'm not a huge Tom Cruise fan. I fucking said that already, but like the scale on which this film is presented, it makes me loving movies, right? And like after The Flash, I really fucking need that like a lot.
Yep. Yeah. You gotta refill the cup.
Yeah. And I watched Fantastic Beasts, the third one, which they're not continuing, but that's fucked up because the third one's the best. I watched the original
Fantastic Beasts and their addresses. That's a good joke. I've used it a lot. I don't fucking care. I really like that joke. I think it's hysterical.
It's Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of...
And their postcodes. What was it? Fantastic Beasts and the what? The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I knew it? Well, fuck me. I'm impressed myself. Nonsense.
But yeah, I watched Asteroid City before I went out again. I watched Past Life, which is amazing, but I wanted more. I watched the original Superman film, which I loved, and it made me fall back into loving Superman again. It gave me the nudge to write my Superman. Like I watched that and then I fucking wrote it. Wrote the first part at least.
Yeah. Sorry, was this the post that you put out?
Yeah.
Or
the post.
Yeah. If you have a chance, anybody who follows Addy and maybe missed this, or if you don't follow him, you should go and follow him. Fantastic post about Superman and what it means to him. Just really, really well written. Just great heartfelt film journalism. I would recommend it. And that's not biased.
I watched Andor in peer pressure. It wasn't for peer pressure. I was like, fuck it, I have to watch it now. You know, we watched Kenobi, and I talked about how when Hayden Christensen showed up there as Anakin, it went a bit emotional for me because I had the connection with the prequels, but I had just watched them.
Yeah. And
my favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One because of the fact that there's a lack of space wizards and light swords. Laser swords.
A lot of people say that, actually. I know a lot of people who like that one the best. Even people who are like my brother-in-law, who's 45 years old, diehard Star Wars fan, and that one came out when he was like 35 or something. Like it's just
And yeah, I watched Andor, and Rogue One was the first time I cried, like teared up while watching something related to Star Wars. And I watched Andor, and there are parts of it where I was bawling because of how just fucking amazing that show is. There's I can't describe how I felt while watching it because it was so new to me to love something that I've always felt very distant from me. It works in a way that not a lot of Star Wars media does, and I watched that in tandem with the Ahsoka show that's going on right now. And it's two very, very different things. Like one's about the formation of the rebellion, which is the reason why Luke Skywalker was able to do the things that he was able to. Like there is no Luke beating Darth Vader if there was no rebellion. And then
Many Bothan spies died getting this information, you fuck. Or whatever she says.
and yeah, it's the formation of that, and like it made the empire more scary to me than it has ever been. And that's how it's supposed to be. Like, this is a fascist government rising and oppressing people. It's supposed to be scary. But yeah, and like the ties to the actual history of like our world and the things that's gone on in our world and its ties to Star Wars was insane. And then I watched Ahsoka, and I don't want to give spoilers for like the very latest episode, but I have watched episode 5, and it's insane, and I cried, but for two different reasons, and it made me realize that Star Wars can work in so many different things only if people care. The people behind it need to care.
I think Filoni does, like, whatever problems you have with him, he does really give a shit about all these characters, particularly the ones that he created. You know, I know Ahsoka comes from the TV series. The animated series. And Rosario Dawson, like, fucking whatever, man. She is the GOAT, man. I just love her.
She is. And like, I haven't watched Rebels, and I haven't watched Clone Wars. I went into this just knowing that Ahsoka was a Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, and she left and had to fight Anakin when he was Vader, and she lost because she saw him as Vader and was just in turmoil. And she is the legacy of Count Dooku to Yoda to Qui-Gon Jinn to Obi-Wan to Anakin. And it's this line of unconventional Jedi, and how like they have formed her, and it's now her story, and how she wants to like leave her legacy. And it's wonderful to see two things that are so different yet based in the same universe that make you like, they make you have an emotional response to it, even though you don't have the previous. So yeah. And then yesterday I went and watched Talk to Me, which is it's a horror.
New Zealand horror movie, isn't it?
Yeah. It was
4.5 star review on Letterboxd. I saw, like, you must have liked it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh fuck yeah, I like horror, and I like when it gets crazy because it reminds me that I'm crazy too.
Hey, that's what is it. Horror is the best thing for that, you know.
That's all I've been watching.
That's good. Get as much media as you can. I just always feel like Ahsoka sounds like when an Australian person tells you it's been wet, like the weather's been really bad. Like if I was to call my dad and be like, "Hey mate, how's the weather up there?" "Oh, fucking pissing down, mate." "Oh really?" "Oh yeah, it's Ahsoka." You know what I mean? Like, it just, maybe that's just my accent doing funny things. But anyway, it's beautiful. Go and check out Ahsoka and other kinds of water pistols, whatever you're into. And now we're going to do that thing that we do, where we do the nerd news. Here we are. It's nerd news. Some of it's a little bit late because it's stuff that we want to talk about, but it happened between two sort of long recordings. But whatever, you know the format. You're here. It's beautiful. This one's interesting. I don't know how much truth there is in this. You sent it to me, and I was like, "Yeah, horse shit." But then Rob Pattinson weighed in. Dick Grayson, the first Batman, is reportedly to appear in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2.
You said Dick Grayson, the first Batman. Is Dick Grayson the first
Robin?
Robin?
Did I?
Yeah.
Dick Grayson, rewind. Dick Grayson, the first Robin, is reportedly to appear in Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2. What do you reckon?
I don't like
do you reckon
it.
That's bull hockey, or you don't like it? I was just asking if you think it's real or not.
Oh, is it real? No, fucking no.
Nah, I don't know.
You don't get Robin in like year 2 Batman. You get it like year 6 maybe.
Yeah, it seems a little early. It would make, and it's like they're already introducing him in Brave and Bold. That's the whole point of Brave and Bold, is it not?
No, they're introducing Damien. Like, there hasn't been any confirmation of. The only confirmation that Dick Grayson exists is because Damien is going to be in that film.
Yeah, well, there's going to have to be Nightwing at some point. That goes without saying. But I just mean they're doing a Batman and Robin film over there. Why would you do that also in this Elseworlds thing that they're doing with, you know, the Joker and Matt Reeves' Batman and all that stuff? There's a lot going on. It's a lot,
and honestly, I don't think Robin fits there. I don't think Dick Grayson Robin fits there, because I feel like that's a Batman trilogy and the end of it. If you do have Robin take on the legacy, then you have two Nightwings, and I don't like the idea of two Nightwings.
No, I mean, unless it's in a bedroom situation.
Yeah.
Because what else are you going to do with a Dick Grayson apart from get some Dick Grayson? Everybody dreams about Dick occasionally, whether that's former President Richard Nixon or whatever you're into. I don't know. I don't have a dog in the race anymore. I don't care. I did rewatch The Batman, and I felt the length this time. I
did too.
Beautiful, film, and got the 4K again, and can't recommend 4K enough, folks. But the 3 hours, I really felt the melodrama. I was like, oh, fuck. And I'd just recently seen all the Nolans again, like all the Nolan Batmans again, in quick succession, and it was like, yeah, this is, I don't know, maybe more my speed. I'm not sure. But anyway, speaking of Nolan, Josh Hartnett, who just had a wonderful turn in Oppenheimer as a character whose name escapes me, I'm sorry. Josh Hartnett, fantastic actor. I think he is anyway. I've liked him even when he was young. H2O, Halloween, Faculty, he was really good in. He's just had a bit of a career resurgence. He was on a TV show called Penny Dreadful for 3 seasons, which I fucking love. I think it's a really, really solid sort of gothic horror series. Similar to the Mike Flanagan stuff in that it's all character driven. But anyway, Josh Hartnett, look him up.
Yeah,
He's reportedly in... Sorry, go ahead.
He was Ernest Lawrence in Oppenheimer. Just looked it up. Sorry.
Ernest Laurie. You know the one? He was one of those white guys who was in it. This is such a stupid argument.
Everybody was fucking white, dude.
Well, of course it was. It was the Manhattan Project in like the early 1940s. Like, of course they were all white.
It's like the scene in La La Land when Mia's like, "Could you get my keys?" And he asks, "What's your car?" And she's like, "It's a Prius," and there's like 6 Priuses.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Oppenheimer is basically the Prius. Like that whole cast is the Prius of films. That's such a good scene, by the way. We'll get to it. But yeah, Josh Hartnett is reportedly in talks to portray Doctor Doom in Fantastic Four. Don't know what truth there is in that. I don't know whether they're calling it a reboot either, because it's not really. I like Josh. I'm keen for that. I don't know what that Fantastic Four movie is. There was a big thing about it being set in the 60s, and then that doesn't look like that's going to happen, and all this. Yeah, it's so much misinformation out there, So yeah, what do you reckon, Josh?
Don't know, don't care.
Oh, cool! Wow, way to commit.
Yeah, because I'm only excited for the mutants. I told you that. Like my only real interest in the whole superhero genre is the mutants. I honestly don't care about Superman Legacy enough.
Yeah, well, I mean, you never know. It might pop up. Just a couple of things real quick. The Crow reboot starring Bill Skarsgård will release in 2024. They've been trying to make this for fucking ages, this film. And it was not a remake, but a reboot, I guess, of The Crow, which was made in early 90s, maybe 94, 95 or something. Directed by Australian-Egyptian director Alex Proyas, and starring the late Brandon Lee, who died during production. It's one of the best comic book adaptations of all time. That graphic novel is painful to read. It's really, really intense. James O'Barr wrote it after his girlfriend was, I think, killed in a car accident, and he sort of wrote that as kind of his therapy of how to get through it. And the art style is really wicked, and it's powerful. It's a really amazing story. It's a really amazing sort of it's a revenge story, but like in a romantic way, which is not really usually the case. And I love it. I watched that again recently. But yeah, I'm keen for whatever that is. That should be interesting. This one's one of my patented no shit bits of information. Universal is reportedly developing a live action Legend of Zelda movie. Of course they are, because Super Mario Brothers made all the money ever. That made it the billions, the fajillions, squillions. So that's, a no-brainer there. And this one, maybe you'll give a shit about this, Mr. I'm a nihilist and don't care about nothing. Sorry, did you have something to say about Zelda?
I did.
Okay, shoot about Zelda, and then I'll give you some shit.
No, I'm just gonna say that, and this is weird because the listeners won't get this, but you will. The thing that you're reading from that said like the Zelda thing. Mm-hmm. If you look in the background, it's Rivendell. It's not even a Zelda setting.
How did you know that?
Because I saw that too.
Oh, right. Yeah, we follow the same pages. It's silly. Cool. All right. And the final story, winter.
I have one more though.
Netflix.
After that.
No. We're doing my one and then you shut your face.
Okay.
You completely ruined my flow. Oh, he's walking off. He's off mic now. I just heard myself talking. That was weird. No, here we go. You ready? Mm-hmm. You ready? It's winter. It's 2024. It's Netflix. It's my fucking season 2 of Arcane, friends. Addy just exploded. He just boom. He joygasmed, and that was the end of him. It's a solo show now.
I was this close for you to not say it, and by the time the thought crossed my mind, you'd already said it. So yeah.
That's why we're good podcasting.
Yeah.
Excited?
Beyond. Friend of the show, Leanne, who was on their Arrowverse episode, had recently got the point of me really loving Caitlin and Y, and so that's a win for me. So yeah, I am terribly excited for all the things that will come out of the fan art.
Yeah, lots of sexy animated positions, I'll betcha. But without the silliness, it's a really fucking good show. And now, and this is, when did the first season come out?
Oh, it was 2021.
Yeah, so that's quite a wait for a season of something, even for fans of Game of Thrones or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I did.
The Story of Fire and Ice. I don't know. I watched the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones and then came back for the 5th one after a huge break and was like, I don't know who anybody is. I remember nothing.
It's the Song of Ice and Fire, and I didn't watch it on.
What did I say?
What did I say? The Story of Fire and Ice.
Whatever, fucking, that's the same to me. Sorry, all you Game of Thrones purists out there, whatever you're doing. That's a funny thing about those shows. I was thinking about it today, is like things that just hit like huge, like just, have a cultural awareness or a marketing campaign, like things like Barbie. Like Barbie's a legitimately good thing, but it's like they spent $150 million on marketing for that. That kind of hits. Squid Game was another one I remember. Like everybody was couldn't stop talking about Squid Game. The Squid Game this. Every time I went somewhere was someone talking about squids and games. I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like I had no idea. And all these things that just hit massively and then disappear. Like Arcane was a sleeper and now it's got a following, but it didn't go boom the way that some stuff has.
Oh yeah, and to be honest, I was there when it was a sleeper because I was excited with the first teaser, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably... Did you have previous with the game?
I did.
What was your story?
Oh, because we have to talk about this because we've been doing free fucking promo for it for a year now. The Rebel Moon trailer dropped.
It did, and it looks the fucking tits. Like, it looks baller, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll just... I'm ready for a Zakasance.
I am too. I've been waiting for it, and like, I watched it, and I watched it again, and then I cried, and I watched it again. Visually,
I know that there's some story stumbles and whatever. Fuck, he's a great lensman. Like, he just knows how to make images look interesting. It's a lot of slow-mo always, but that's what he likes to do. He likes to capture a moment and draw it out. Like, he's a graphic artist. Like, that's what he wants to do. He wants to, contain the energy in that one section. And yeah, I'm keen for it. I love me some sci-fi. So
yeah, and like, oh man, I watched it. And like the first thought in my mind was, oh, this feels like Star Wars. This feels like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. And this feels like Star Wars, Dune, and John Carter and the Princess of Mars combined. And I love that it has the feel of John Carter because it's John Carter and I have a very it's a very complicated relationship. But that like those books, those stories, that movie as well is something that the world wasn't ready for then, and I love that he has elements of that here. And yeah, I mean they're the spider wizards with space swords, and I am all for it. I would rather have this than like another Flash, honestly.
Yeah, well, don't worry. You're not in any danger of getting that. Don't worry.
But
It's not even on anybody's
and
radar.
it's like it's not even like they like in the trailer. It's part 1, and then there's a release date for part 2, and between that, it's gonna be a director's cut, which is around 4 hours, if I'm not wrong. Probably like 4 hours 15 or something. And there's going to be comic books. There's one novel, and there's one video game. If up until now, but that's hoping that it works. But it's already in development, and like they've shot part 1 and part 2 together, and hopefully there's a third one. And the one thing I hate is that Netflix does not do theatrical limited releases, at least not like worldwide. And
they won't for this. They do some stuff, but they won't do this.
I would love to. I would love for this to be just there on like a bit, like not even for me, for someone who's never seen anything, not like that. Who's never seen anything like in this world, like sci-fi or fantasy, to just get a chance to watch that, because this is Zack Snyder working on a script that he's been working on for 20 years, and then getting a chance to shoot it as he wants to, like actually holding the fucking camera and shooting it. Like it's creators winning, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, massive respect for him in that. Like I've been my own DP my entire career. There's been very few times where I've shot stuff that I wasn't shooting. A handful of times. I've had an actual DP, and it's hard. You're double busy, mate. Like you've got to work on performance and everything else, and make sure that what is contained within the shot is right, and then you got to make sure the shot is right as well. He's quite a craftsman, and I appreciate his work. But that's enough about Zach. I'm sure we'll do Rebel Moon when it does come out, absolutely. But right now, we're going to be talking about our main topic. It's La La Land from 2016, famously awarded Best Picture, and then not. And it Googled Damien Chazelle's face at that moment in time. Fuck yeah, now. I've never seen anybody so disappointed about anything ever. Yeah, incredible film. I don't know what took me so long. It's really silly. I watched it at just the right time, and maybe it wouldn't have spoken to me as much before that. But regardless of all that, I watched it in the last month. You've been living with this film for, what was it, like 7 years. When was the first time you saw it?
I watched it in 2019.
Okay, all right. So after it had come out, like a decent period of time.
Yeah, but I didn't watch it in the theaters, which is the weird part.
Why?
Because 1917 was nominated for like Academy Awards, and that was huge here for some reason. And so they had like a couple of films that that like had been nominated for Best Picture, just showing for like the awards weekend. And I rewatched 1917 then, and I watched La La Land in theater.
Right, that's very cool. What was your first reaction? Because mine was obviously regret. I was like, why haven't I watched this before? Like I said, why did I let other people's thoughts and opinions on this film sway me? I like both of those actors. I really like Damien Chazelle. I love musicals, even though I'll get into why I think this isn't why it works, because it's not a traditional musical. But that was my first feeling. What did you feel when you first saw it?
It was weird because I hadn't seen a musical like that in probably ever, and it wasn't weird in like a bad way. Like, we started with a whole ass fucking musical on a freeway.
Yeah, right.
with it's another day of sun, and I felt like I wanted to get up and dance in the fucking theater. That's never a bad thing. And I was hooked, man. I was hooked since like the first note of the score till like the end of the credits, and it was an intense experience. It defined that part of my life, and I watched it through and through. And I watched it last night, and it's weird because I I know every lyric of the song. I know how Sebastian moves. I know how Mia moves, and I know what's coming, when it's coming, and now I pay attention to when they're in the lighthouse for the first time, and you hear Sebastian explain why Jazz is dying, and the second time they're in there, they're together, and Sebastian's playing on the piano, and in the background, the music that the trumpet player is playing is the score of the film, and you don't hear that part of the score until the end when Mia when Mia has her own song, which "Here's to the Fools Who Dream," and that's that melody that's playing, and it has meant so much to me for so much of my life, and it has defined different parts of my life. That it's all comfort, like all of it. It's become that, like, if I've had a bad day, I'll just watch some of it and just like feel better.
You can drop in and out because it's got really nice stanzas, because it takes place over a long period of time. We'll get to it, but heartbreaking ending.
Oh yeah.
My God, I didn't fucking see that coming. Normally when it's a Hollywood movie, the kissy faces get together at the end, and that was just, that's some paths diverge and then come back together, and then some don't. But I think to your point about the opening and how it really does hit you with this bombast of like, this is a musical and fucking get over it. Like this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. You're here. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. They're not that. It doesn't. It's what I mean. Some people I've been talking to recently about movies that kind of hold your hand. Like I'm trying not to do that in my own work, and I was talking to a producer who I'm working with on a screenplay, and I was like, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to make it just obvious. To have everything have logical conclusions. Like that's not what generally happens. In everyday life, things surprise you, or things don't go the way you think they were, or nothing happens. Sometimes you just hit a dead stop, and that whatever that was, it just goes away, or it stays with you forever and changes who you are. But with this, I think it's like, yeah, there's no Giselle won't hold your hand. He's like, it's a musical, and I'm going to go at this pace, and you've got to catch up. Babylon's exactly the same. First Man's a little bit slower, a bit more meditative. Whiplash is like that. It's like we are playing at speed in rhythm, and you can either follow or not. La La Land hit in a way because it came around at the perfect moment, and it's also the like having it start on the freeway. If people stuck in traffic, what it does really well for me, and it changes the camera style too, is it marries the mundane with the magical. So these normal everyday situations in a modern context are going on. People trying to get to work, having Barneys with, like as in, getting into an argument with someone in the car, who you would then later on poke. What's the two fingers here? No, there's not two penises going on, but you know what I'm saying? They would go on to bone. And what am I talking about?
La La Land, musical, freeway.
They would later go on to bone. What an idiot. Anyway, those kind of normal things would happen, but then all of a sudden it plumes as if this shit is in someone's head. Funnily enough, it kind of reminded me of the Buffy musical episode Once More with Feeling, where these normal situations that you see, like, because La La Land plays as a drama. It absolutely does. And the best example of that is the when he comes home early from a tour and he's cooked dinner for her, and she sits down and they have the conversation about, this is what life is now. It's an over 2 shot, and it's handheld. It's a handheld, shaky camera, and Chazelle does that great. He puts short lenses on and gets really tight, and I love that kind of filmmaking. It's really interesting to me. And then all of a sudden there's a fucking crane in the street and they're doing fucking Corrie. Like, this is a different scene, obviously, but it goes from that intimate drama to, which you're all familiar with, just a melodrama or a drama picture, and then goes into the magical. And it reminded me of Buffy, because that episode of Buffy, it's vampires and all that kind of horse shit, and then all of a sudden she starts singing. So everything you expect becomes even more supernatural than vampires and whatever. But in this normal context, there's backup dancers all of a sudden, and or the lighting changes. Like everybody's gone to work and had to fucking kowtow to a boss where he's like, I don't want to play this music. He's like, none of that fucking jazz shit. This is Christmas music. It's a Christmas movie, by the way, everyone.
It is.
Fantastic. I'm going to rewatch it then. He's just like, do that. And then he gets into his thing and the lights come down and it's an actual moment and she's standing there and then bang, he gets fired. Like fusing the normality of everyday life with these extraordinary moments is what spoke to me a lot, and how to change the camera style and the lens choice to articulate that.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you can get J.K. Simmons in a movie.
And by the end, like in the epilogue, he's like starts snapping and starts dancing as well. By the end, it's like, fuck yeah,
how
man.
How can you not? And I feel like jazz, in a way, there's a synchronicity to jazz and storytelling, in that you kind of have to let it happen. All the best screenwriters and novelists and stuff will tell you, you can come in with an idea of what you want to say or what you want to do thematically, or you know, what characters you have. Eventually, the thing's going to become its own beast. And you're going to start following the rhythm and following the beats of where this thing goes, and it should happen organically. The way that jazz does, if you're jiving with people, like I learned as a jazz drummer, that was how I learned how to play. Not open hand the way that he does, like the in Whiplash, like with the sticks through the fingers, like just the more traditional style. But I was taught, and you start with jazz because it's the stuff that you can adapt as, you know, more quickly. And when you're playing with, you know, other people and you get a rhythm and you can just jive, it's pure creation. Like, it just happens within the moment. His explanation of it is much more articulate than mine, but that has a synchronicity with storytelling, and particularly Damien Chazelle's storytelling, because he writes his own work apart from, I think, First Man was written by somebody else, but Whiplash, La La Land, and Babylon were all auteured, or traditional use of the word auteur as in writer-director, not as in they do everything. And you've got to give it up. He's one of the only guys doing original work as well. Whether you like Babylon or not, you can't deny that it's original.
And like, it speaks so much because of the fact that Damien Chazelle was a musician. He was a jazz player. Is that how you say it, jazz player? So I don't know what instrument he played. He was
a drummer.
But yeah.
The story of Whiplash is based loosely on a teacher that he had, I think.
Yep.
No, threw a chair at him or whatever, but fucking, it's a bit harsh.
I remember him talking about in like the directors roundtable that year that he had this idea and wanted to make this film for 10 years. But everyone he would go to would say, we're not in the age of musicals and we don't do musicals. You can feel the amount of love that he has for like his craft, filmmaking, and like just songs and music in general, because who the fuck wouldn't want to break into song after like a bad fucking day, man?
I do it all the time. Just fucking come in and just, start, put on your cans and just sing along to something while I'm making my dinner. Like, it's just, it releases endorphins. Same as dancing. Like, get your fucking boogie on. I guarantee you'll feel better about everything. There's a great thing that they do. I mean, they probably do it fucking everywhere, honestly, but they do it here in Melbourne. It's called ecstatic dance, where you just go and they play fucking all different types of music. But, the night that I went there, it was sort of a little bit more trancey or whatever. And you just move. Like, it's like an exorcism. It's your body is an instrument of communication. It's really important to be able to do that. So yeah, I totally get that. Just thinking about musicals, it's funny. Les Mis was huge. Remember when that came out? With Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, Anne Hathaway's. She won an Academy Award for it. That came out in 2012. La La Land was a couple of years after that. But then you got to think, like, recently. So we had La La Land, that did really well. Greatest Showman was huge. What was that, 2018 maybe?
Yeah, that was like 2 years after, right?
Massive film. And then more recently, you've got a West Side Story, like Spielberg's West Side Story. Which, Hamilton's huge as well. Like, I know that was a stage play, but they had a filmed version of it. And then In the Heights was made into a movie as well. Like, I feel like it was ahead of its time. I think it saw a trend. That'll be interesting to see in 10 years' time, or 8 years' time, or whatever, to see if people go back and revisit Babylon, because there's that time period is of great interest to people at the moment, you know.
Oh yeah, and like we know for a fucking fact that in 10 years people will go back and say, "Oh, this is one of the greatest films ever made," and we were right there seeing this when it came out.
And we'll do a fantastic 3-hour long episode, which will just be literally me and Addy saying "I told you so" for that entire runtime.
Yeah,
it'll be
5 minutes. It'll be 5 minutes of "I told you so."
Told you so. Sorry, what's that?
It'll be 5 minutes
Told
of
you so,
us
you shit
saying,
apes. I love calling people shit heaps. It's so good. Or something's a shit heap.
It's 5 minutes of that, and then it's going to be just 10 minutes of the shit scene, and then it's going to be 5 minutes again, and then it's going to be 10 minutes of the shit scene, so it's like 30 hours.
Amazing. That'd be like meditative, like some of that stuff that that John Lennon did with Yoko Ono. Number four, or whatever it is.
I had forgotten about that. Thank you for making me remember.
Oh, no
that.
worries. Little forced death march down memory lane. You're welcome. Yeah, no, I like calling things shit heaps as well. Like if something's a shit heap, like if not like people say that, oh, that car's a shit heap or whatever. But calling stupid things a shit heap, like if you buy a carrot that's the wrong, it bends at the top. Oh man, what a shit heap! It just tickles my pickle. You know? It does. Makes me happy. Silliness. I enjoy the silliness. Anyway,
right.
We're talking about La La Land, and we're not going to rub it in anyone's face about Babylon. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe in however many. I was just trying to think of all the films that didn't do well and in their time, and then people look back and they're like, "Oh fuck, it's because we weren't ready. We weren't ready."
And I mean, yeah, like The Greatest Showman was a success after its like first weekend. First weekend it bombed, and then it was word of mouth. And you know, I know about P.T. Barnum and the shit that he did, and that movie is not what P.T. Barnum was. But
no, not even in the least.
It's amazing.
He didn't burst into song all the fucking time.
True.
And he didn't look like Hugh Jackman.
That was my second point. But it's amazing because The Greatest Showman is exactly the movie that P.T. Barnum would make about himself. So it's a full circle thing.
What a self-suck. Yeah. Still a better self-suck than Free Guy. That is the biggest fucking victory lap of all time, that fucking movie.
It is. It's a marketing film, which is, we have this, and also this.
Yeah, it is. That's very much. And go and play Fortnite, whatever that is. Yeah, just thinking about La La Land. Can we just talk about performance for a second? Because Emma Stone won an Academy Award for this performance. I don't know who else was up against her that year and for what pictures. I don't know if she necessarily deserved it. It's a great dramatic performance. I don't feel she's the best singer that ever lived, because, you know, not everybody is Cyndi Lauper. But Cyndi Lauper might not be the greatest singer of all time, but God, I love her. Anyway, amazing nuanced performance, especially in the scenes where she's getting shut down, like in the middle of giving a audition for a role. And the first one's a really powerful one where she's really giving it her everything, and then they're like, "Thanks very much, we'll see you later." Like the cannibalistic nature and the disregard for human emotional engagement in something in that industry is fucking horrible. And I only know because I probably work in that space, and I've auditioned people, and I've been at auditions and all that stuff. I know that people are pressed for time and all that, but I don't know how you can be... I mean, it's exaggerated, but I don't know how you can belittle someone's commitment to something. You either see it through or you don't. I don't understand this consumable nature of... It's a whole thing that's going on right now with all the strikes and everything. It's because they're being looked at as commodities, as tools, as things that can be, you know, used to then go on and make revenue. And I understand that movies have to make money and studios need to remain open so that the cycle can continue, but you can't pull it. As soon as you take the humanity out of that, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. And and that scene really got to me. I would never do that to an actress, no matter how fucking time poor I was or how bad their performance was. Make the scene shorter, if anything. Like, just give them the monologue, give them the opportunity to get to the end. And I think it's really nicely paralleled in Sebastian, in that he is so hardcore against the commonality in the people in his field, the people who just decide to step down from where their dreams are. You know what I mean? Like they take 2 steps down from the peak of reaching whatever they want to reach so that they can just live. And I get that, especially now, cost of living's a motherfucker. But that the idea that your art is marketable, and it's there is a price tag on everything, and it's that great line from that Passenger song. You take your dreams down and you stick them in storage. You can have them back, son, when you've paid off your mortgage and loans. That's kind of the mentality, and Sebastian falls into that, and then he becomes successful, and he kind of the success becomes, and the live playing and the feeding from that, the audience becomes more important than his morals. Maybe that's just me reading too much into it. I don't know. I feel compromise around every corner these days, especially with the introduction of AI into the field, and that's a game changer for a lot of people. And it's just it lessens not just that, but just this marketability of an art form it troubles me. We're not fucking, what we do isn't sandwiches, and I understand there are some sandwich artists. They work at Subway, and I totally get that. A little Subway joke for you. But product and property are words that come up far too often when we're talking about people's forms of expression. And this film really made me feel like that, because it burns both of them.
I'm going to say it because I've felt it ever since I watched Babylon, which is that Damien Chazelle in La La Land tells a story about 2 people who fall in love with each other and then fall out of love with each other to fall in love with their dream. And Babylon tells a story about 2 people who fall in love with each other and fall out of love with their dream.
Yeah.
And
another desperately fucking horrible ending of that,
Oh yeah. And
he doesn't bang it out to the cheap seats, man. He's ready to challenge you at every turn.
It's all there. Like in the last scene when it's just them smiling, it's all there. It's like the love that they felt for each other, it's not gone. It's just it was there, and now you're different people.
Yeah.
And
it transforms and becomes something else.
Yeah, and you're different people because of each other, which is like the most heartbreakingly amazing part of that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the 2 of them being together, they wouldn't have ended up where they were, or it would have taken longer. It would have been a different route. That's what happens. People don't stay together sometimes,
I fall in love with that ending every time I see it. Like, I fall more in love with it every time I see it, because it's all there. And like the whole sequence where like they flash to what could have been, and they come back to what is, and it's all in that like 6-7 minute piece of music that Sebastian plays on the piano called the epilogue. I know it because I've fucking memorized the list of the soundtrack. And it's
a good soundtrack. You just go and pop it on Spotify or whatever. It's you'll feel happy and sad, and then happy and sad, then happy and sad again.
And it starts off with the melody of It's Another Day of Sun, goes on to City of Stars, then goes on to What a Waste of a Lovely Night, and then ends with Here's to the Fools Who Dream. And it's the whole story in the 1 7-minute sequence, and there's no dialogue. That's how amazing this film is. And it's like, when this film is the reason why The Greatest Showman did as well as it did. It's the reason why people were accepting of irrespective of like fucking Steven Spielberg doing it. There's no world where La La Land doesn't come out and Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story works. because La La Land, while being a musical and being a throwback to, how fucking Hollywood started, right? You had Sound of Music, you had Singing in the Rain, and being a throwback to that era. Again, with fucking Babylon being a throwback to that era. But also, being a throwback to all these musicals while also paving a way for, musicals to continue, because this is a form of storytelling. It's a form of pure love also. Like, these people make these movies because that's the only way they know how to come to terms with the things they feel sometimes. And you can feel that in every frame of La La Land. And I have a problem with when there's a film shot on film and there's a lot of noise. Like, sometimes it takes me out. It's my thing. Like, it's not like, it might be really comforting for somebody else, but it sometimes takes me out. But like, while watching La La Land, I feel comfortable just looking at the noise because I already know what the story is, and I just want to be in it now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got to be said about Damien Chazelle and his crew and his DP and everything, that they really did shoot it like a classic. Those scenes, they shot it like a classical movie, and then the 35mm or whatever they shot on for everything else as well, the drama scenes and things like that. It gives it a traditional feel that you wouldn't get now. Like, so, I mean, fucking Greatest Showman certainly doesn't feel like that. Even West Side Story doesn't really feel like that, and that was shot on film. It was very particular way that it looked. I think as well, the commitment that everybody gave, outside of the technical is something we need to speak on. Like, Ryan Gosling learnt all those piano parts when they were shooting that scene, the dance scene on the hill, which is such a beautiful scene. All that one take. They had 30 minutes to do it because they had to be in the twilight hour and or the twilight half an hour by the sounds of it. And they would do a take and then run back and get wiped down and then go and do another take. Like, you don't do that if you don't give a shit. And it's Chazelle, like, it's his work that people are interested in. He only made Whiplash at this point, took the world by storm. It won J.K. Simmons his, a very long overdue Oscar. These people have come to perform with this director, and you can tell when the people come back. There's a lot to be said about looking back and bringing things forward the way that he did, of going, this is how things used to be done and this is how things are done now. Let's see if we can kind of pull this forward while still remaining, relevant and modern. And the fact that he won Best Director is the perfect, but it didn't win Best Picture is an interesting example of that. Not like, I've said it before, not the Oscars fucking mean anything, but
yeah,
people should be, it's an example of, if this was the best directed film, I don't know why it didn't win Best Picture, but if he's the best director that year, that says a lot about his commitment to doing something, because all the other films that year weren't musicals, you know what I mean? Like, he was the only musical that year and he fucking won for it, so I don't know, what does that tell you? And yeah, the proof's in the pudding as well. It's just, musicals are going to become more and more popular. It's not out of the realm of the possibility for there to be one of these a year.
Yeah, I would love...
Not a La La Land, obviously, but...
Yeah, I mean, no. Yeah, I can't have, like, La La Land every year break me in fucking theaters. I will run out.
Yeah, I can't have my heart broken once a year. Thanks very much. I wonder when this was released, actually. Do you remember?
I think it was summer.
It was released on Boxing Day in Australia, and it was released in the United States on Boxing Day as well. It's wide release. It did some festivals before that. But yeah, isn't that crazy? What commitment that you have to be released on, Christmas Day or the day after Christmas. You know what else was released on Christmas Day? Batman: Mask of the Phantasm and The Faculty by Robert Rodriguez. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, apart from the fact that Josh Hartnett's in it, and we talked about him before, and we always love Batman. But it's I'm so disappointed in myself for taking so long to do it. If I can find it on 4K, I will. I can't get Babylon on 4K in Australia. They don't have it. It didn't get released here. And go fuck yourselves. See, we're getting very musical on this episode because that's what we're doing. Just so pissed off. You can only get it on Blu-ray. And Blu-ray's fine and everything, but if you can get 4K, why not?
I think I have it on 4K, but it's digital for me.
Oh, eat a bag of salt and vinegar dicks. No, I'm sure...
So dicks are fine all day, every day for dicks. It's just salt and vinegar throws me off with that. Like it goes all soft and then salty and then like it'll be
soft
bad.
and salty. That's the name on the packet. Want a bag of soft and salty? I also like
We're here.
all dicks all day. I want that on a t-shirt. But it's just a bunch of pictures of Dick Grayson. It's a bunch of Nightwings on a t-shirt. All dicks all day. That's fantastic.
I have a Nightwing t-shirt.
I know you have. I don't know why you've taken it off. I would wear that constantly. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're listening to this episode, but if you haven't seen it, fucking do yourself a favor. Just go and check it out. It's streaming everywhere. Like I think I found it on Netflix or something, but it is on most streaming platforms. Yeah, just amazing performances. Such a well executed film. It does exactly what it wants to do, and that's the thing that I really love about Damien Chazelle as a filmmaker. He does exactly what he wants to do. Like he executes. There is no compromise whatsoever. And you know, in this, with Babylon's case, you know, listen to our episode on our emergency episode we did on Babylon, because we both loved it so much, and it was doing really badly with the, you know, just poor marketing, poor traction, and also fucking Blue People #2 came out. Sorry, I said that kind of bitterly. I don't mean that bitterly. I just mean everybody was paying attention to that, and this amazing thing was going on elsewhere, and no one was looking at it. You know, it was like being on your iPhone while you're getting a hand job. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, your attention here, please. Mm-hmm. And that could go both ways. It could be the person giving the hand job who's also on their iPhone, or it could be you on your iPhone while you're getting a hand job. Unless you're watching some or organized pornography that you've both agreed on, I think that's disrespectful at best. What are we talking about again?
No. La La Land.
La La Land, thank you. Yeah, but yeah, he made the film he wanted to make. It's really, really beautiful. He deserved that Academy Award, and I hope that the bad reception. I mean, he did a great interview on the Roger Deakins podcast, Team Deakins, where him and I think it's Ryan, his wife, Roger Deakins' wife. This is have a podcast where they talk to creators, and they talk to Jamie about it. And it would have been post this movie not doing well, like, you know, at least by a few months. And he still talks really glowingly about it, and that he did what he wanted to do. So whatever's next, man, whatever you want to do next, you want to do a drummer who goes to space and gets, you know, dances with Emma Stone and then gets shit on by an elephant. That's a good movie. I'll watch that film, whatever it is.
I have an idea.
Okay.
It is really...
It's a La La Land extended universe.
It's a really bad idea, but I have it and I have to say it. Give Damien Chazelle the... what's the demon Etrigan?
Oh, really? Okay. What? Explain.
Just have him, like, live through, like, all of his life. Like all of it. But have him remember just singing and all. Like, him fighting, but, like, singing because he's just so fucking strong that nobody can beat him. So, like, he's going on in his journey to, like, just... Yeah.
The Demon Etrigan, the musical, is a fucking great idea. James Gunn, I know you're listening. You always listen to our show because you're not busy at all. Yeah, that's a fucking great idea. Honestly, I don't want it to be that case of, like, someone does really well or makes a really good picture and they're like, hey, do you want a fucking movie with superheroes in it? Like, it just, if that was going to happen to him, it would have happened already. Like, I guarantee he's had that meeting. Someone's gone to him, hey, Damien, do you want to do... I'm writing fucking Babylon, would you piss off? But do you want to do Fantastic Four? No, I don't. I'm Damien Chazelle. His voice is so much deeper than this, by the way. Have you heard him talk? My God, it's like someone spreading butter over the top of toast.
I will not look at that differently now.
Yeah. Every time you butter your toast, you're like, that's what Damien Chazelle sounds like. That's weird. Yeah, he's a fantastic storyteller. This is a really good movie. Any other parting shots? Final thoughts?
I just want people to see it. Like, it means a lot to me. And I know that, like, it won't as much to a lot of people. But I feel like if they just... It's the same with Babylon. Like, if you watch it, you will surely get something out of it. Like, if like, music and, like, fucking breaking into dance is not your thing, the fucking ending is gonna break you, because you're on this journey with them. Either like hating the music, or just like being in love with these two people.
Yeah, if it's not the musical extravaganza, it's the drama that's going to get you. And they're both really great performers. They have awesome chemistry, and it makes sense. They've been in, 5 movies together or some fucking shit?
Yeah.
Like they've been... It was like this, The Crazy Stupid Love. Wasn't there another one? And Gangster Squad. That's the La La Land. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Did we get any questions for this one? Because I know that went up kind of late because we were jumping on this episode.
No, we did. But before we go, I want to know.
Ooh, we didn't have questions last week. I'm excited.
Yeah, we didn't. We didn't have questions last episode, which is fine.
For the last episode, yeah. I keep saying last week, like we get them out weekly. One of these days we will. We won't be as busy.
There was a small patch where we did weekly, and then we did like.
It got so hard, man. Like, we just got so busy. Like, the studio went absolute ape shit, and then I got this contract, and then I was working on the fucking Hamlet thing, and it was just, it's been massive. But what we should probably commit to doing is like making sure that we get one out a week for Halloween, so that we do cover all of Mike Flanagan stuff.
Yeah.
I think we'll make a promise to you here, folks. We will be going weekly in October. Just because we love you so much. What were you going to say, sorry?
Right. So before we go into questions, I want to know top 2 moments and then top 3 songs. Top
2 moments. Probably for me, it's a line is where Sebastian says about LA. They worship everything and value nothing.
Yeah, I knew
that's such an indicator for like the toxic, sick environment that can be there. I know that it's not all like that, but it can be there. And just that look across the room, no dialogue. They just catch each other's eye. He's in his club that he's always wanted. We're doing okay, then that's okay, kind of thing. And she comes in with her family now, like when she runs in and sees the kid, and then it's like, hey, let's just go into this bar here, and it's Seb's. Beautiful, just amazing. And favorite song, City of Stars, is really amazing. It's so hopeful and yet so sad. I really enjoyed that.
Which version do you like? Do you like the one with just Ryan Gosling, or do you like the one with both of them?
The solo version. I like the other one as well, but I just like that moment in the film. I really like the song that she sings with her housemates.
Someone in the car could take you away. Yeah.
Yeah, I love maybe it's the choreo. Like, I just like that one that sort of like follows them around, and they're all kind of popping up in it. That's real musical to me. Like, I love that kind of big, old school way to stage those kind of things. And yeah, like I'm sorry, I don't know the names of the songs because I've only seen the movie once. The song at the opening, at the intro on the freeway.
Another Day of Sun.
Another Day of Sun, motherfuckers. That's the Snoop Dogg remix. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to sort of pick the best kind of stuff, but that is for me. What about you? You tell me your moments and your songs.
Well, you fucking took my moments now, did you?
We'll eat a bag of softies, salties, or whatever we called them before. Soft salties. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
You got to pick other ones.
So if not those, then I would probably say the almost case when they're in the theater watching a Rebel Without a Cause. It would be the scene leading up to that one, which is her in like this like fancy hotel with a boyfriend, and like she's like stood up. Not stood up. She's like decided not to go to Sebastian to watch the film, and like is here like having dinner, and she hears the jazz like coming out, and then she hears the melody, which is the Me and Sebastian theme, and she hears that, and then she just says, "I'm sorry," and she runs out. And that's something that I relate to, is because I never paid attention to jazz, but like the theater I go to now, like you sit in it for like the first 30 minutes when they're not playing anything, and then the commercials start and then the film starts. But like for that amount of time where nothing's playing, there's jazz playing, and I just sit there and just listen to it because of this film.
It's beautiful music, especially like traditional jazz like this. Like coffee shop jazz isn't jazz. It's J.K. Simmons' character Fletcher says that in Whiplash. He's like that kind of, you know, the best coffee house songs. It's all this, you know, commercialized jazz that's just, you know, like banging it out to the cheap seats. Real jazz is you know, something beautiful to listen to. Like in Miles Davis, or is a really good example. If he's a good sort of, what do you call it? A gateway. He's a good gateway drug into all different kinds of jazz, Miles, because he's so has real broad appeal and is quite eclectic. But yeah, that the road not taken, you know, that thing where she's like, no, let's just get off here and go and have dinner, and they, you know, you see that thing, and it goes, and then you see what would have been for them, like just, oh man, gut wrenching shit. And what are your favorite songs?
My favorite line, just because you did, I'll do it too, because fuck you.
Yeah, sure. All right then, Jesus. That's aggressive.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
That's totally fine. I've got thicker skin than that, mate.
Okay, my favorite line is, how are you going to be a revolutionary if you're such a traditionalist? But yeah, okay. Favorite songs, because I have memorized this fucking soundtrack. I take full fucking pride in it because I fucking love it.
Yeah. Hey man, no, don't even apologize in this space.
My number 3 is, and this is like 3 of the best, right? So it's top 3. My number 3 is Someone in the Crowd. No, it's not. It's not. Shit. It is. Yeah, it's Used to the Fools of Dream, because it speaks to the people watching it. My number 2 is a very weird one, because it's City of Stars, but it's a tie between when both of them sing it, and there's a section where Sebastian just whistles it. I think that's my favorite version of the song. It's just him whistling it. And my number 1 is Another Day of Sun, because I can break into that song like that.
Hopefully not on a freeway, because not everybody else thinks you're going to do it, and that's how you end up in a car accident. Or hit by a car. No. It's true. Be careful dancing and singing on causeways, everybody. And bless you. Wonderful. There we go. We've got some questions. We're going to do them right now with the and then
questions.
Thanks for the fucking assist. Like Karl Malone and John Stockton.
I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
No, yeah, it's fine. You know what's really funny though is they are 2 basketball players who used to play for the I think it's the Portland Jazz. No, the Utah Jazz.
Uh-huh.
Karl Malone and John Stockton were basketball players for the Utah Jazz, and we're talking about La La Land. How about that shit?
Yeah, full circle, man.
Like an NBA deep bench, that one. All right, so questions these. How many?
8.
My God. All right, let's pick 4. Otherwise we'll be here all night. Unless you want to do rapid fire round.
All right, so the first one is, why is Riggs so goddamn hot?
Well, look, it's a combination of creams that I use on my person, and these soft dulcet tones that make you just want to get a cup of milk and a cookie and settle in, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Ask my fiance. She seems quite keen on me as well. Whoever you are, what a beautiful thing to say to a 41-year-old man who doesn't feel like he's got much to offer in that department most of the time. So I appreciate the ego boost. Bless you. Mwah. And you wrote it. Well, there we go. Well, bless you then, darling.
Thank you.
But yeah, there is no answer to that question. It's like the hand clapping in the woods thing, whatever the fuck it is. No, it's not the hand clapping in the woods. It's one hand clapping and the tree falling in the woods, you know.
What?
You know that old the proverb of if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Yes, of course it does. It does make a sound.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, no one's there to hear it, so it's just vibrations in the air. But it still makes the sound.
Okay.
What are we talking about? We're getting totally distracted here. Yes, I'm really fucking hot. Let's go.
All right, question 2. What's the best shit you've ever taken outside home? Wow.
Who is asking this? Who is asking this? That's got nothing to do with La La Land, but I will tell you. Are you going to do the answer to this? Because I'm not going to fucking do it alone.
I'll do it.
We're going in uncharted territory here, folks. I once went to the bathroom at a cafe after a night of drinking. I was still drinking at this stage, and you know, you have what is commonly referred to in Australia as the after grog bog. And why are we answering this question? But it was so big, I came out and I said to the person I was with, I just shit a wizard. So there we go. So I feel like the first question of why am I so hot has just been answered. But in the negative. Why is he so hot? Well, he's not, because he tells stories about doing shits.
You're hot because you shit literal wizards, man.
I do. I shit a wizard. Fucking Gandalf the Brown came out of me. Oh, now I have to leave this part in because that's a really good joke.
I love it.
Oh, Lord. Okay. These are 2 of the 4 questions we're going to do, by the way.
Right. So I can't top that, so I'm not going to say shit.
Sure. That's, yeah, not everybody shits a wizard. Absolute nonsense. This is on record. This is on the internet now, forever and ever and ever.
I had a really bad case of diarrhea on the airport.
Oh no!
But it was good because I was like 12, and it was good. But I was also like scared of like going along. So.
Oh no!
Okay.
Someone had to come and assist.
No, because this is perfect. This is perfect because fuck it, right? Season 2.
Season 2. We're just all the gloves are off, folks.
Oh,
the toilet paper's in the fridge. Just to cool it down a bit. Pat.
I had a really bad time getting it out.
Oh my goodness.
And like I didn't lock the door because I was really small, and like I was really scared. I wasn't really small, like it was 8 years ago. Fuck. Let's not remind me of that. So yeah. Some poor guy just came in because the door wasn't locked and he saw this like
Oh no. At least he didn't like pick you up and move you and sit down himself. Like that would have been uncomfortable.
No, he saw this like just kid just like trying to like get the shit out. He just said he said sorry and went out, and I got so scared that I shat myself. And it was the best thing.
Bless that man then. He is a living laxative, that gentleman. Wherever you are, laxative man, you know, we appreciate you and God bless. I also like the fact that your story from when you was a child and mine is from like 5 years ago. When I was a fucking grown man. I will say one thing really quickly though. I won't call out who this person was, but I know a person who as an adult, after eating some food they probably shouldn't, on the way to work in the morning, shat themselves on the train. And then had to ride back.
Oh no!
To get home, to go and clean up their doo-doo. I bet you didn't realise you were going to get this kind of conversation when you were like, oh yeah, let's listen to the La La Land episode of the Film Addicts podcast. That'll be really, you know, they'll talk about cinephiles. They'll talk about it in a really deep, meaningful way about, you know, the love and music and chances and, you know, sliding doors and all that kind of amazing stuff. It's going to be great. And here we are talking about diarrhea. It's diarrhea. Okay. What's question 3? If it has anything to do with bodily functions, we're fucking ending early.
Right, question number 2.
No, this is question number 3. Don't sneak it in under the wire. I know what's up.
Alright, what mundane things in life would be great as a musical? Shitting, because we were on the topic.
You win. It's not gonna get better than that.
I'm sorry.
And you know what's fucked as well is that, like, I'll leave this in, you know, for full transparency, folks. I'm at this moment in time recording at this very moment. I'm not 100% sure that I want to leave all that in, but I now have to because leading. I'm going to have to cut out the entire question section if I do. You know what I mean? So look, if this is upsetting for anybody, just turn off now because it's only going to get worse. Yes, going to the bathroom would be much better if all of a sudden you sprang into song about it. But listen, everybody poops, you know? If you act like it doesn't... It's not concentrated evil coming out the back of you, as in they say in Family Guy. It's just an everyday thing, and sometimes it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and I was listening to this podcast from like a really great DM dungeon master called Brennan Lee Mulligan, and he was on this podcast and he said the reason why D&D is weird is because life is weird. You know, you lose someone, like if somebody in your family dies, it's weird. But you know what's also weird? That day you also have to poop.
That's so true. It's like Nana's dead, but I've got to have a shit before I go to the... I want to do it before I go to the funeral as well. Who does a poo at a funeral? Like, tuck it in, mate. Like, there's no way that you could possibly... You know what I mean? Like, everybody got to do it. Friends.
Yeah.
Nana did it before she left. She fucking loved to poop, Nan.
Yeah.
She fucking loved to poop. A good clean out, she'd call it. Oh, fuck.
That's it. Everything is staying, okay?
Yeah, we're going to have to... No, it's whatever. Like, people are either going to like it or not like it. It doesn't matter at this point. We're pot committed. We're poop committed.
Okay.
Can we...
Yes.
Let's do 2 more questions. Hopefully neither of them have anything to do with poop.
Well, the second one didn't, but I made about it. So sorry.
Yep, you sure did.
What music?
Mundane things, a musical, doing a poo would be really, really good.
What musician / singer would be great as a lead in a musician? Wow. Okay, sorry.
In a musical?
Yeah. What musician or singer would be great as a lead in a musical?
Do I have to say what movie it'd be?
I mean, if you have
of something.
If you have an idea, then for sure.
Trent Reznor, the Academy Award-winning composer, won an Academy Award for Soul, and him and Atticus Ross and The Social Network, but he's also the lead singer for and lead producer for Nine Inch Nails. I think he'd be great. Like a revenge picture where he's the revenger, but it's a musical where he's going, I'm going to kill you, motherfuckers, or whatever. I can't do a Trent Reznor impersonation. He sings much better than that, obviously.
A really silly one. I don't think it's really bad. I think if it's pitched to the person I'm talking about, he might do it. So Jack Black in the musical called Hercules.
I can totally see that. Or you could have just got... you could have got Jack White to play Elvis like he did in Walk Hard, but do it in the Elvis movie. That would have been pretty fun.
I don't know who he is, sorry.
None of that makes sense. Jack White, the lead singer of the White Stripes, plays Elvis in the movie Walk Hard, which is a parody of A Walk the Line that's got John C. Reilly in it. And you could have had him, Jack White, play Elvis in the Elvis movie directed by Baz Luhrmann instead of that young kid. Then it would have been interesting. Anyway, one more question. Hopefully not fecal-based.
It's not.
Terrific.
What 2 acting talents would you love to see pair up in a musical? Paul Mescal and Daisy Edgar Jones, please.
Do we know that either of them can sing? That's the only thing. They both need to be able to sing. Sean Patrick Harris?
Neil Patrick Harris.
Sean Patrick Harris? Who the fuck's that guy? Nobody. Neil Patrick Harris, incredible singing voice. Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog is you know, I know Joss Whedon's a shit eat, but it was a shit eat again. But that's really, really great. And I would pair him with Nathan Lane. Nathan Lane, who is, I mean, most people probably know him as the voice of Timon from Lion King. But amazing singing voice, Tony Award winner, I think. But if not, he's got an amazing singing voice.
I know him from Modern Family.
Nathan Lane was in Modern Family.
Nathan Lane is in Modern Family. He's also like in a really small role in Only Murders in the Building, and he's amazing in that.
The Greek guy, he's fantastic in it. Yeah, so great. I love him. I think he's one of the most talented actors working today. I rewatched The Birdcage recently, and that's just... I mean, it's any movie with Robin Williams is hard to watch, but that one's a little bit easier because he plays the straight man. But fuck, what a beautiful performance by Nathan Lane. That'd be my team up.
So I have one, but we don't know if they both can sing. If they can, then it's a Dick Grayson musical. It's a Grayson musical.
It's a Grayson the musical.
Yeah.
Fucking get on board, DC. Can you hear me now? If you bring out Blue Beetle and all sorts of other shit, you can bring out fucking Grayson the musical or Robin the musical. You know, I don't give a shit. Make it happen.
But yeah.
A lot of fan casting for Nightwing going on at the moment. I don't know why, but it was like one of them was Jared Padalecki, the guy who was the younger brother in Supernatural. I'm like, he's like 48 years old. Like, he can't
That's
do that.
If that's true, then that's twice Batman's age.
Exactly. That's not going to work out, friends.
Yeah.
I don't. There was a couple that I didn't. There was one that I'd like the idea of. Timothy Chalamet wasn't a good one. Dylan someone or other, the guy from Maze Runner and American Assassin. Yeah. But I don't think you need to go like he doesn't have to look exactly like he does in the comics. I think Paul Mescal's the move. Anyway, he won't do it. He's too busy doing really, really interesting independent work, and I appreciate him as an actor. He's got something coming out with Saoirse Ronan soon, which looks really good.
Yeah, Foe. Oh my god, I saw him. Like, yeah.
We'll talk about Foe. Wonderful.
Well,
that's it.
Well, I have.
Oh, you got one more?
Yeah, I have Nathan Lane and Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield's got some pipes, man. And if you haven't seen Tick, Tick, Boom... Oh, there's another one. There's another musical that came out after La La Land.
Yeah.
No way that would have fucking worked.
And that's
a really good movie.
Yeah.
The fact that he didn't get the Academy Award for that performance is ridiculous. Like, that was one of the strongest male performances I think I'd seen that year, absolutely. But yeah, there we go. Nathan Lane, Andrew Garfield. Nathan Lane is in most of our thoughts.
Yeah, I've got one more question. The film Addicts musical. Cast yourself and what's the setting before breaking into a song?
So, who plays me?
No.
And what's the setting?
No, like we play ourselves. What's the setting?
We'd be recording an episode, wouldn't we?
True. But like,
it'd be the first meeting, our final meeting. No, our final meeting, our first meeting in person. And we both burst into song. And I would be played by James McAvoy. That's all I'm saying. Everybody tells me I look like James McAvoy.
Man, if you're played by James McAvoy, then fuck it. I'm Ewan McGregor.
That'd be a good show. Funnily enough, there's a possibility that I might actually be in your neck of the woods sometime next year, but we'll talk about that. We could do a live episode. Pretty crazy. We'll talk about it. But anyway, that's the end of our show, which I'm now going to have to retitle La La Land and Poop Chat. But we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for coming back. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And we do so love it being here. Addie, you're gorgeous. Don't ever change. I mean, you can grow older and stuff if you want, but, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Okay, that's fine. Just stay being you. Awesome. All the live long day, mate.
I love you, man.
Love you too, buddy.
This is amazing. I'd love that we get to do this.
Yeah, this is the best. And what a great episode to do, and about something that just came up organically and was like, yep, this is the one. I love that spontaneity. Let's keep it going. So we'll see you next time, everybody. And remember,
stay amazing, stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Fucking Baby Bloodaxe has been alarmingly silent throughout the entire episode, and all of a sudden here he is. Well, see you later, baby.